Welcome to Anti-Tech Pulse. This is a series brought to you by ANTEI Limited, right here in Hong Kong, our real hub for innovation in AI and cybersecurity, actually. I'm Alice.
And I'm John.
And today we're doing, well, a fascinating deep dive. Okay, so, it really is kind of mind-blowing how fast things are changing, especially when we think about what we can actually believe with our own ears.
Yeah.
Like, here's a crazy stat for you. Last year, Americans lost almost $9 billion to deepfake fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's not a typo. $9 billion, 150% surge in just 2 years.
Unbelievable.
I know, and it gets even wilder. Experts are saying this could balloon to like $40 billion by 2027.
Oh, wow.
So just imagine the sound of your voice, or at least a really, really good copycat version of it being used to like empty your bank accounts.
Right.
Or steal your personal info. It's a real and growing threat. I mean, this is happening right now in our digital lives.
Oh, absolutely. And, the financial losses are definitely shocking, like you said. But beyond that, it's really about trust.
Yeah.
This explosion of fake audio, it really shakes the foundation of how we interact. If you can't even be sure that the voice you're hearing is actually the person you think it is, then that throws everything off.
Yeah.
From how businesses operate to even our everyday personal interactions.
Totally. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today, to look into a really significant development in this whole fight against deepfakes.
Right.
Researchers at the ANTEI Limited AI Innovation Hub, based in Hong Kong, have announced what seems to be the most efficient algorithm yet for detecting deepfake audio fraud.
It's a game changer for sure. And what's particularly impressive is the team behind it at ANTEI AI Innovation Hub. We're talking about over 85 professionals, all with PhDs or MPhils in computer science or AI.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a serious concentration of brain power. And it really shows their commitment to pushing the boundaries of AI, especially in this crucial area of, protecting us from all this fraudulent manipulation.
For sure. And it really highlights how Hong Kong is becoming a major player in the world of AI innovation.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so our mission today is to really break down this new algorithm, understand how it works and why it's such a big deal for everyone.
Right.
Whether you're a business owner worried about security or just someone, trying to navigate this crazy digital world.
Right.
We want to look at what gives it an edge in this battle against these incredibly convincing fake voices. And we've been going through their research papers to bring you the key insights.
Great.
So we know the threat is huge, right? But how are these synthetic voices actually being used to cause all this damage? Like, what are the real world examples?
Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of real-world examples already, and they're causing a lot of harm.
Right.
We're seeing a surge in cases where criminals are using these fake voices to impersonate people, like to authorize fraudulent wire transfers.
Right.
So they trick unsuspecting victims into sending large sums of money or giving up sensitive financial information.
It's scary how easy it seems to be for them to do that.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there. They're also using these fake voices within organizations, to get confidential information.
Oh.
By mimicking the voices of like executives or colleagues that people trust.
So it's not just about stealing money, it's about stealing information too.
Exactly. It's about access and control.
And the scale of this is just massive. I mean, we mentioned almost $9 billion lost in the U.S. last year.
Right.
But when you look at the global picture, total losses from all sorts of scams are actually over $1.026 trillion.
Yeah, it's hard to even fathom that number.
Oh, that's more than 1% of the entire global economy.
It's mind-boggling.
And it's not just individuals being targeted either, right?
Absolutely not. Businesses are increasingly in the crosshairs. Studies show that a staggering 92% of businesses surveyed have already experienced financial losses due to deepfake fraud.
92%, wow.
Yeah, and for many, the losses are substantial, up to $450,000. And even more concerning, 10% of those businesses reported losses over $1 million.
So this is a serious problem for businesses of all sizes, it seems.
Definitely. It's a threat that can't be ignored.
Are there any particular industries that are being hit harder than others?
Well, the financial services sector seems to be particularly vulnerable.
Makes sense.
The average financial loss per incident for companies in this sector is over $603,000. And for fintech organizations, it's even higher, around $637,000.
Oh, wow.
This is likely because criminals see these institutions as, having direct access to financial rewards.
So they're going where the money is.
Exactly.
Is this a problem mainly in a few specific regions, or is it happening all over the world?
It's definitely a global issue, although the impact does vary from country to country.
Right.
For example, Mexico has reported the highest average losses per incident, followed by Singapore and then the United States.
Okay.
But even in places like Australia, the impact has been significant. In 2022 alone,
Yeah.
nearly 240,000 Australians said they were victims of voice cloning scams, resulting in losses of over $500 million Australian dollars.
So this is something that's affecting people everywhere.
Absolutely, it's a global threat.
And it sounds like the frequency of these attacks is increasing too.
That's right. Recent surveys show that almost half of all businesses have been targeted by audio and video deepfake attacks in the past year.
Wow.
And focusing specifically on audio, these incidents have gone up by 12% compared to earlier reports.
So this is a trend that's only going to continue.
Most likely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've discussed, the prevalence is even higher in areas like financial services and cryptocurrency.
It's like the criminals are always one step ahead.
They're certainly very adaptable and quick to exploit new technologies as they emerge.
And what I find really concerning is how easy it seems to be to create these incredibly realistic fake voices in the first place.
You've hit on a crucial point. The accessibility of voice cloning technology is a major factor in the surge in fraud. There are tools now that can copy someone's voice with just a 3-second audio sample.
3 seconds, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And there are even voice cloning platforms that only need 10 minutes of audio data to learn and create convincing imitations.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, this low barrier to entry makes it incredibly efficient for fraudsters to, scale their operations.
So then the big question is, how good are we at actually telling the difference between a real voice and a deep fake?
Right.
It sounds like our current methods aren't really cutting it.
Yeah, that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
Research has shown that the average person can only identify synthetic audio about 53.7% of the time.
So basically it's like flipping a coin.
Exactly. And as AI keeps getting better, that accuracy rate is likely to go down even further. And to make matters worse, the publicly available deepfake detection tools out there have mostly been found to be unreliable for actual use in the real world.
So they're not really effective.
Not really, no. And we've even seen large-scale scams like the FM scam that targeted tons of devices, which really shows the limits of what we have right now.
So these deepfake scams are not only becoming more common, but they're also becoming more effective at causing damage,
Yeah,
leading to much bigger financial losses than traditional scams.
absolutely. That's a critical distinction. While a regular phone scam in the U.S. might result in an average loss of around $500, deepfake scams often lead to losses of over $6,000 per incident,
That's a huge difference.
more than 10 times higher. It really shows how powerful this technology is in getting past our current security measures. It's not surprising that a lot of C-suite executives are expecting a surge in these kinds of attacks in the future.
It's like we're constantly playing catch up with these evolving threats. And it's interesting that you mentioned the focus of research. It seems like detecting fake audio hasn't gotten as much attention as, say, detecting manipulated images.
You're right, for a number of reasons maybe, including the potential for profit.
Oh,
The research community has put more effort into tackling visual deepfakes.
okay.
So unfortunately, audio deepfakes have been somewhat neglected in terms of developing strong detection solutions. And that's exactly where the work from the ANTEI AI Innovation Hub in Hong Kong is so important.
So let's dive into their solution, the ANTEI voice fraud detection algorithm. What makes it so different and so effective?
Well, what's really interesting is their approach, unlike a lot of traditional methods that try to analyze all sorts of audio features. ANTEI's algorithm focuses mainly on the most basic characteristics of the sound itself to tell the difference between a real and a generated voice.
So it's keeping it simple.
In a way, yes, this more focused approach makes it much more efficient and accurate.
So instead of looking at everything, it's zeroing in on the most important clues within the audio itself.
Exactly.
You mentioned targeted training as a key part of this. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. The researchers at ANTEI have developed these very specific training methods where they expose their model to a wide variety of audio environments. This teaches the algorithm to recognize the subtle differences between real and synthetic voices, not just in perfect conditions, but also in situations with background noise or distortion.
Right, because in real life, audio is rarely perfect.
Exactly. So for this to work in the real world, it needs to be able to handle those imperfections.
And another feature that stood out was quick adaptation. What's that all about?
This is a really impressive capability. Their model is incredibly good at adapting to new voice synthesis technologies. And it does this with very little training data in their tests. It was able to accurately identify fake voices created by AI it had never even seen before, and it did this with a very low error rate after being trained on just over 100 audio samples from a single new technology.
Just 100 samples. That's amazing considering how much data AI usually needs.
It is quite remarkable, and it's all thanks to the way the algorithm is designed.
Okay, so how does it achieve this rapid adaptation? Is it related to the architecture of the algorithm?
Yes, it is directly related to its architecture. The ANTEI voice fraud detection algorithm is built on what's called an audio spectrogram transformer, or AST for short.
AST, okay.
This is really groundbreaking approach. It's the first fully attention-based model for audio classification that doesn't use convolutional layers, which are common in a lot of other audio processing AI models.
Okay, for those of us who aren't AI experts, can you break that down a bit? What exactly is a spectrogram and how does this transformer thing work with it?
Sure, so a spectrogram is basically a visual representation of sound. It breaks down an audio signal into its different frequencies and shows how strong each frequency is over time.
Okay.
And the AST model uses this visual representation as its input. Instead of using convolutional layers to look at local patterns, it applies a transformer directly to the spectrogram.
So it's almost like it's treating the sound as an image, but instead of looking for visual patterns, it's looking for patterns in how the sound frequencies change and interact.
That's a great way to think about it. The spectrogram is divided into little chunks, and each chunk is turned into numbers.
Okay.
And kind of like how vision transformers work with images. The AST model uses positional embeddings to figure out the relationships between those chunks.
So how the different frequencies and their strengths evolve over time.
Exactly. They also add a special classification token, and then this whole sequence is fed into the transformer encoder, which is the heart of the model, where it learns the key features for telling real from fake. And because the task is to classify the audio as either real or fake, they're primarily using the encoder part of the transformer architecture.
So it's really focused on that specific task.
Yes, very focused.
And you mentioned that this AST architecture has performed well in other audio classification tasks, too.
Yes, it has. It's not just for deepfake detection. The AST model has achieved really good results on several well-known audio classification benchmarks like AudioSet ESC50 and Speech Commands V2.
So it's a versatile tool.
Very much so. It's effective at understanding and classifying audio in general.
So what are some of the specific advantages of using this AST architecture for detecting deepfake audio?
Well, there's several key benefits. First, AST can handle audio of different lengths without needing any changes to its structure.
Okay.
Second, it has a simpler design with fewer parameters compared to other complex models that combine convolutional and attention mechanisms.
So it's more streamlined.
Exactly, and that often means faster training times.
Yeah.
But maybe the most important advantage is the multi-head self-attention mechanism.
Okay, what does that do?
This allows the model to focus on different parts of the audio spectrogram at the same time.
So it's looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly,
Hi.
because those subtle signs of synthetic speech might be spread across different frequencies and at different points in time.
That makes sense.
So this ability to analyze the broader context is crucial for catching those inconsistencies that a more narrow analysis might miss.
So it's like having a more comprehensive view of the audio.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've got a good understanding of how the algorithm works. Now let's talk about how well it performs. The research paper mentions some really impressive results.
The results are definitely impressive in benchmark tests. The ANTEI voice fraud detection model had an accuracy rate of over 99% in detecting synthetic speech.
99%? That's incredible.
It is. And they also tested it against voices created by some of the most advanced voice generators out there, like 11 Labs Notebook LM and Minimax AI.
Okay.
And in all those tests, the model had a very low overall error rate of just 0.91%.
Oh, wow, that's much better than other algorithms out there.
Significantly better. It's a major step forward in detection capability.
And you also highlighted the algorithm's ability to generalize across different technologies. Can you explain why that's so important?
Of course. So after training the ANTEI model with a small data set of just 102 samples from 11 labs, they tested it on fake voices created by completely new technologies that it had never encountered before.
Okay.
And remarkably, it was still able to identify the fakes with an error rate of only 3.3%.
That's amazing.
This cross-technology generalization is a big advantage because the field of voice synthesis is always changing, with new methods popping up all the time.
So it's not just good at detecting the specific types of fakes it was trained on. It can actually recognize the fundamental traits of synthetic speech, even in voices created by AI it's never seen before.
Exactly. The researchers believe that this success with the AST architecture shows that it's really good at picking up on the underlying inconsistencies or artifacts that are common across different voice synthesis methods.
So it's adaptable.
Very much so.
Yeah.
This makes their detection system much more robust and ready for future advancements in voice cloning technology.
So let's bring this back to our listeners, the business owners and individuals who are concerned about this threat. What are the real-world benefits of having access to this kind of technology?
Well, for businesses, especially those in finance and security where voice authentication is critical, this technology provides a much stronger layer of protection against audio fraud.
Right.
It could potentially prevent big financial losses and safeguard confidential information.
And for individuals listening to this right now, why should you care about this development?
As synthetic voice technologies become more and more common in our digital lives, having a way to verify whether a voice is real or not becomes super important for protecting your identity and preventing fraud.
Yeah.
This technology could eventually be a key part of making digital communications and transactions more secure for everyone.
So this isn't just about stopping criminals, it's about protecting everyone.
Exactly.
It sounds like the team at ANTEI isn't just doing research, they're actively developing tools that can be used to combat this problem.
That's right. Their goal is to provide effective solutions that can actually be implemented to prevent voice cloning fraud and make the digital environment safer for both businesses and individuals.
And they're not doing it alone, right? You mentioned some collaborations.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out their partnerships with institutions like the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and ITMO University. This really adds to the credibility of their work.
It's great to see that kind of collaboration driving innovation in such an important area.
That is-
So let's recap the key takeaways from this deep dive into ANTEI's algorithm.
Okay, so the main points to remember are the amazing accuracy of ANTEI's voice fraud detection algorithm.
Yeah.
It was over 99% accurate in their tests.
Right.
And its ability to quickly adapt to new and unknown voice synthesis technologies with minimal training data is a huge advantage in this constantly changing field.
Right.
But perhaps the most significant thing is its cross-technology generalization. This means that it's not only good at detecting the deepfake voices we see today, but it also shows a strong ability to identify fakes created by technologies that haven't even been invented yet.
So it's future-proof in a way.
Exactly. It provides a crucial layer of protection against future threats.
So for everyone listening, this is not just some abstract tech development. This has the potential to directly impact the security of your businesses, your personal finances, and your peace of mind as we all navigate this increasingly complex digital world. Being able to reliably detect these sophisticated audio fakes is a powerful tool in preventing what are already becoming very serious financial losses.
It really is. This breakthrough makes us think about a fundamental question. As the line between real and fake media gets blurrier and blurrier, how do we build and maintain trust in our digital interactions?
It's a big question.
It is, and the work being done at the ANTEI AI Innovation Hub is a big step forward in proactively defending ourselves. The research we discussed today, though, it gives us a glimpse into that ongoing battle to protect one of our most basic ways of communicating.
And if you are interested in the nitty-gritty, the technical details of ANTEI's work, we'll put links in the show notes. You can find their papers on ArcSov, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, Papers with Code. Plenty to dig into.
Great. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Thanks so much for joining us on Anti-Tech Pulse. We'll catch you next time to explore more tech advancements.